Welcome back to the Beatitudes. You got this far, huh? This is number 3. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. And let's talk a little bit about what came before it so you can understand this one. We talked about the whole idea of the poor in spirit, of giving up the idea of an I and me, of giving up, in my case, what it is to be a Gregory, the genetic part of him. Then we talked about the whole idea of forgiveness, that we would mourn, that we would feel a sense of remorse for the way we've lived our life and the things we've said and done in the name of justice or self-righteousness or whatever is your gig. And now we start getting into a deeper aspect. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. People think of meekness, of course, as what? Weakness. And that is just simply stupid. It is not true, and it's not what Jesus meant at all. Meekness was something that he talked about as teachability, or in the Greek it means to be teachable. And that's basically what he's talking about. But this teachable isn't the teachable of 2 and 2 is 4, and this is why 2 and 2 is 4. And initiating the idea of logic and reasoning into this. Anybody can learn anything. You can learn many things and not know anything about what you think you've learned. And that's where Jesus is going with this. We're talking about being receptive. How do you become receptive to not just a teaching, but through consciousness, developing a consciousness to receive not information, but what I call the essence, the real feel of something that is authentic that you can take with you through death, that can't be translated through thought, desire, pride, ambition, or fear. This is a very difficult thing for us to understand. In Zen, it is called transmission. And that's exactly what Jesus is, so to speak, talking about here. The transmission from the heart to the being. And we're going to talk about blessed are the pure in heart after. But you have to understand, am I, as a person, or am I an entity? Am I living in the enmity of my entity? And am I fighting myself all the time, never able to really receive insight or to receive the blessing, as it were, of something greater than what my thoughts can think? Most of us are so arrogant that the only thing we think is real is what we think. We think if it doesn't make sense, it can't be real. If it doesn't add up to our logic and our reasoning, if we can't justify it through our mental process, then it can't be real. It doesn't exist. And this is really a very small-minded point of view. So when people are going to church and trying to listen to the minister, what is he doing? What is religion all about? What is any minister really doing? Well, you wouldn't be there if you weren't auditioning the ideas contained in that theology. So there's a philosophy or a theology, and you kind of agree with it. And now you're looking at the person saying, well, do you inspire me? Are you pleasant to look at? Do you say the right things? How are you going to seduce me to believe that what you're saying is true? And this is the way most people go to church and listen. It's true even with science. There's prejudice in science, there's prejudice in politics, there's prejudice in religion. So you wouldn't go to someone who was drastically different than what you can think. You wouldn't sit there and go, I don't understand what he's saying. Maybe like this discourse, like this series on the Beatitudes. I mean, really, how meek can you be? Meekness is being susceptible, being open to being susceptible. Susceptible to what? Something that is greater than what you can think and believe in. Something that has nothing to do with mind. Something that has to do with what we call in Zen, no mind. A mind that is not considering right and wrong. In other words, a mind that is not in conflict with anything. It just simply watches and observes. For you shall inherit the earth. to inherit means you don't have to claim it. You don't have to grab it. You don't have to steal it. You don't have to do anything to obtain it. You already obtain it because it is what you are. We get in life what we truly, truly are. Not the stuff, but the unstuff. The stuff that makes up our entire life experience that has nothing to do with belief, circumstance, or condition. We are not our environment. We're not what we believe. We're not what we think. And this is what meekness offers us, a sense of consciousness. And when meekness is realized through meditation, not contemplation, meditation, then something new arises out of this meekness. We start to understand that everything that has ever been true has always been within us. I hope you found the uniqueness of my message here on Aspire and that you will help sustain our effort both on radio and here on TV to keep Aspire on the air, to keep it serving humankind. We need your sponsorship to do this. Your sponsorship is what allows us to be here and to serve humankind the way we do. If you're interested, go to the website at aspire.org and go take a look at support. I deeply appreciate it. Now back to Aspire. Jesus once said, "To he who hath, more is given, and to he who hath not, even that which he has is taken away." Most people don't understand that one, and it could have been in the Beatitudes, believe me. This whole idea of trying to find a sense of meekness, the ability to have that hath, and that's what he was talking about. If you have that meekness, that which you have will never be taken away from you. But if you don't have it, everything is taken away. And what does that mean? It means that you live in a different law. There are different levels of laws on this earth. Some of them are very high and offer great beauty, inherit the earth, and some of them have great punitive damage to them, where we punish ourselves because we live underneath the law. We live underneath things that are, well, ugly and painful. We live eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, and that would be a real important one for you to understand. In the sense of meekness, of understanding, of teachability, you understand these various laws. You can feel them. They're not something you can think. They don't come from thought. They're not about inspiration. They're about an inner contemplation that goes beyond thinking. And you begin to see how people gather in pods and gather together in these clusters, spiritually speaking, psychically speaking, where they're susceptible to certain laws of this earth, some of them being very mundane and very painful, and others of them being very freeing. When I am meek, I inherit the earth. When I am meek, I can find that place inside of me where life exists beyond the idea of being hurt and punished for things that I do that I have no remorse for. I just regret that they happened. And now you can start to see how the Beatitudes roll down the pike here. They start to build a momentum. A lot of the reason why we have trouble with meekness is that we like to believe inside of our heads that we know everything. This arrogance of belief, this empirical idea that we think we know everything, is the biggest downfall of our personal life. How do I know anything? How do I know? You could say to me right now, how do you know what you're teaching is true? Maybe it's true here. Maybe it's true in this setting. But maybe at another level, it becomes untrue. And there are greater things to be reckoned with, greater insights to be happening, greater truths to know. As we grow, more is given to us. As we don't grow, less is given to us. and we're stuck in our own mediocrity, in our pedestrian mentality, which is where a lot of people like to live. They're just fine with it. They don't care. All they want to do is have fun and get through, and that's about as far as it goes. Whether you believe it or not, and whether you like it or not, it doesn't really matter. Life has meaning. And all of us are here in that meaning. Now, whether you understand the meaning of your life or not is a very important thing. There are many things that people will tell you are important. They will tell you how much money you make, the career you have, the house you buy, the car you buy, the whatever, the social standing you have. But I will tell you what is the most important thing. Finding the meaning of your own existence on this plane, in this lifetime. Should you not find that, you will just go from thing to thing to thing, and you will never develop inside of yourself that breath of spirit that is actually a big part of the meaning of our life. So when you look at the state of your meekness, what would we be talking about? Can you be influenced by something other than your emotionality? That's the real question here. Or is emotion just everything to you? Is it all about how emotional you can be, how passionate you think you have to be, to want something, to do something, to have something? Our emotions are the things that guide us, not our hearts. We don't care about our authentic heart. We care about our genetic heart. And whether or not that we are gratified, fulfilled, entertained, amused, and amazed, those are the only things that really matter to us. We want to keep entertained. We want to keep occupied. Blessed are the meek. It is the person who is susceptible to something other than its common mediocrity, common to their emotionality, who is beyond the idea of love and hate, right and wrong, good and bad, where you're not looking for the things you can grasp mentally, but you're looking for those things that take you to another place, even while you're here in this world, in this body, something that transports you into personal transformation, which is what this living is all about. The most important thing, I think, for any of us to be aware of, and I said be aware of, is what the meaning of our life is and how important it is to seek it with all of your heart, your soul, and your strength. If you didn't get everything I was talking about here on the program, you can download the whole series from the website at aspire.org. And for those of you who are sponsors, you can download them for free. The donation for them goes to purchase more airtime of our radio and our TV program, and it is considered, as I said, a donation. Order yours today, and if you're a sponsor, download them right away. Thanks for watching. Now back to Aspire. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus said, before he was facing his crucifixion, "Father, not my will, but thine be done." Kind of an interesting thing to say when you're facing your death, and a very cruel one. He wanted the cup taken away from him. He just wanted the whole situation removed. And who wouldn't? Really, who wouldn't? He was very human as well as very divine. But what does it mean to be able to say, I'm not going to get involved. I don't want this to happen, but I'm not going to try to get in the way of it. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. There's always something more going on than what Greg thinks is going on. There's always more, shall we say, beauty going on than I might think is going on. And as long as I want my will to be done in my way through my life, I will never be able to inherit the earth. We're talking about consciousness here. We're talking about developing a state of consciousness where my actions aren't derived from this, but the movement of my heart, my soul, the movement of my being is in play. Where I'm looking at my life not as a matter of salvaging my body, salvaging my thoughts, learning from my thinking, because that's never what it's about. But I'm in the flow of something we call consciousness. And that's what blessed are the meek means. It means to be so without the need for there to be thought, belief, Greg Penn-isms, that I can inherit whatever it is I need to inherit that makes my life the way it needs to be, to fulfill the sense of my karma, to fulfill the sense of what I came here for in the meaning and the purpose of my living. People will tell you what your meaning and purpose is. Shallow people will tell you, oh, you're here to be successful. You're here to be rich. You're here to be right. None of that is true. And people who believe in that are only trying to control their life for the sake of their own comfort. It's an arrogance and an egotism that is way out of proportion with the meaning of our life. Everybody came here in this lifetime to do the will of something greater than their own desires, their own fears. And most of us are so pent up in our fears that the only meaning we have in our life is to avoid what we're afraid of. Hence, we never find what it really is all about, what our lives are really all about. Where would you be without fear? Where would you be? Where would you be without something to avoid instead of something to realize? To understand the meaning, I have to be very quiet on the inside. Meekness means I don't have that overpowering desire, that overpowering need to have something be fulfilled the way I want it to be. I'm able to go with the ebb and the flow of my life without the need for there to be what I want in my life. Desire is a big thing to most people. The more desire a person has, the more passionate they become. The more passionate they become, the more they think they're in the creative flow. And for some people, it works out that way. But I've always saw that people who had the most passion, the most emotion, are always the ones like a dying star. They don't last very long. They die very quickly and very fast. And people admired that. They admire it greatly. It's kind of the Don Quixote thing. It really is not about that. It isn't about fulfilling what I want. It is fulfilling something greater than what I want, where I'm not passionate about my desires. You and I aren't here to struggle with our life. We really aren't. We're not here to struggle with our circumstances and our environment and our conditions, although we do that because we have made all those things obstacles within our own living, because we're not meek enough inside, teachable enough. We are not impressed enough with love. When love becomes more impressionable to us, when we are more susceptible to love than we are hate, we have become meek. And we find ourselves inheriting a life where we do not have to push and pull and fight for our own existence. If you look at the bottom line of everyone's life, no matter who has come into this world and left, all they were really looking for was love. Really, if you look at it that way, you get the understanding of meekness. The meaning of your life was to find that which loves you and that which you are as love. And once you find that, the meaning of your life is fulfilled. And you are no longer struggling to survive or to live or to have what you want. Now you have inherited everything because you have become one with love, which is the universal oneness, the universal power, the universal life that indwells every single one of us and every single thing. I hope you're able to kind of contemplate this a little bit. It's very important. Most of us would pass up love for what we want, and we would miss the entire experience of what it is to live consciously. Please forgive me. Namaste.